Shavua Tov to everybody. Pleasure to be here. Particularly under these circumstances, it's a pleasure to be here. I'm so proud of you, Ganendi, of your derech, of your inspiration, of all that you teach us. And you've empowered my ratzon to move forward in many, many ways in my life. So, hand of applause. Mohnish. B'Shem Hashem naseh v'netzliach v'Hashem aleinu barachamav yarviach. For all those who don't understand Hebrew, it's just a bracha. Didn't say anything wrong. I would like to talk about the idea of ratzon. Ratzon is such a powerful soul power, such a powerful drive in our life. You know, I always say when it says when there's a will, there's a way, I say they took it from us. That's our expression. That is mamash a Torah expression. And I want to just explore that a little bit with all of us, because we all go through things in life that we're not quite sure what it is that we should do with it. We're not quite sure how we should move forward and drive forward with it. And we know we have a will. We know that we're also powered by Hashem's will, but yet we don't know many times how to connect to that, what we call Ratzon Elyon, to the supernal Ratzon of Hashem. And Ganendi really teaches us that she went through a process of sifting through her Ratzon to figure out what is Ratzon Hashem in all this. And there's much to be spoken about, and there's much to be learned. Let's see if we can begin to explore a little bit of it. In general, Avodat Hashem, the avoda in all that we do in our lives, is a two-step process. It's called Su Mira Va'aseh Tov. Step away from evil, negate something, give up, shed the old, and acquire and unite with something new. So we don't realize that we do this many times in our life. Many times in our life, we're always in front of a decision. The Ra and the Tov, right? The removal of evil in order to do good. Vayhi erev, vayhi boker. And I was just thinking about this actually on Purim. I was thinking about my life. I was thinking about the fact that so much of my life has been broken, but yet in hindsight, in looking at everything, I realized that every time something broke, and let me tell you, the broom in our home and the dustpan is a very big, important part of our home. Everyone's always yelling, "Where's the dustpan? Where's the broom?" We're always cleaning up something. Most of the times it's ourselves. Did you see my head anywhere? Did you see my eyes? One eye was over there, one part of my brain over there. We're always trying to pick up a part of ourselves, sweep it up, and try to figure out what else can I build in its place. So the whole idea of this breakage and the rebuilding is part of every single one of our lives. We are constantly breaking and rebuilding. And that's one of the things we're doing also in this whole process of Pesach. We're breaking apart the closets, we're breaking apart everything, and we're rebuilding something. And that's essentially the way our lives run. What we don't know when we're involved in this process is we're entering a very, very elevated, very exalted place in our soul. There are 5 levels to the soul. When we say the word soul, we think of it as just soul, as neshama, but there are 5 levels to it. It starts at nefesh, ends at yechida. The koach, the power of ratzon, our willpower, is in that high exalted level called yechida. It's the ability to unite. It's the ability to break down something and attach ourselves to something else. Every time we're going through a breakage in our lives, every time it appears that we've hit rock bottom, and I'm there, rock bottom, we have to understand that we've essentially actually elevated ourselves to the highest levels. We're essentially uniting. We're essentially touching a power called koach haratzon. We're being driven because of the brokenness, because of the fragmentation. We're being driven to build something else, something much greater, something way higher than what we are and experiencing right now. Koach HaYechida holds this very special power, and that's called Koach HaHishtavut, the power of equanimity. Equanimity means that there's a level up in Shemayim where everything's equal. What I want down here is the same thing that what Hashem wants up there. And the whole battle of all of life is to connect that which I want down here and use it to elevate it to reach something that Hashem wants for me. So essentially, Ratzon is a power that each and every one of us is constantly utilizing. Why and how? Because of the fact that we're always missing something, right? Think about it. You're on the couch. You've got your coffee next to you. You've got your, if it's hot out, if it's cold outside, you've got your heated blanket. Your husband just made you hot cocoa with whipped cream on top. That'll be the day, right? And you have everything that you really want. You're sitting there on the couch. Is there any reason for you to get up from that couch? No. No reason at all. So when we understand that the whole idea of lacking in life, the whole idea of brokenness in life is a divine plan so that we could build and do correct, change, erase, approach, call it whatever you want. Everything broken in our particular existence and as a whole is all a dahaf, right? Even if you take the word pachad, fear, switch the letters around, it's dahaf. Fear is essentially a driving force to get us to become more alert, more attuned, more conscious of certain messages. In fact, without fear, none of us would be in touch with our intuition. We all have intuition. So every time there's something broken in our lives, it's meant to call upon us to do something different, to rebuild something different. And by doing that, we are reaching a level of equanimity. We are reaching a level of oneness and unity with Hashem. Because the only way that we can essentially connect to oneness is first to experience the brokenness and then elevate ourselves, search, seek, fight, persist, and find the oneness in the brokenness of our lives. Ratzon, we said before, is in the Koach HaYechida. It's in the highest elevated power of the soul. It's in the soul root. It's way up there. Very, very rarely are we in touch, if anything, with that Ratzon Hashem, so to speak, to be fed directly into us. But there's another two powers that are there in this Keter, in this crown of creation called, Ratzon. There are three soul powers, one by one, in this Keter, in this crown that we all got by Naaseh V'Nishma, Shavuot, right? We're traveling our path now from Pesach. We're getting to Shavuot. What did we receive that monumental day? We received a Keter, we received a crown. The crown of creation was sort of planted on our heads, and in there were three soul powers. One of which is Emuna, the other one was Oneg, delight, and the third one was Ratzon. And Hashem said, listen, at one point in time in your life, you had once experienced the oneness of being close to me when you were up in Shemayim, right? We were all carved out of this beautiful, essential, endless light, given a droplet of that light to come down into this world and spread it and shine it and utilize it. And Hashem, basically, what He wants from us, in a very simple matter, is for us to use the memory of remembering the oneness, the Emuna. That's why our generation is so important for us to implore every bit of energy that we possibly can to seek and search out the oneness and Hashem in all the brokenness that we feel. But essentially Hashem said, I want you to remember, I want you to believe, I want you to trust that there's oneness, there's godliness in everything that you're encountering in life. There's a tikkun that you need to go through, every single one of us needs to go through in our lives from Yemima, from 5,779 years ago. Imagine how much storage we've got there. How much of a tikkun we each and every single one of us have. How much brokenheartedness that we each have to fix in our lives. But the key is the way that we get ourselves to be moving, driven, to search and seek out the oneness in our lives is to remember that Hashem's spark, that Hashem's energy, that Hashem's oneness is in everything that we're going through in life. Even though we're experiencing the brokenness, there's a unity, there's a unifying force that's driving us to seek, search, battle, and repair so that His light can shine in a complete vessel. What is that motivation? The motivation is that we remember, that's the second power, we remember oneg. We remember the delightfulness. We remember how yummy it was when we were up there in Shemayim and we were one with Hashem, and there were absolutely no question marks there. There were only answers. There were no questions. When we came down into this world, we asked the questions, we received the answers, and then we were bid bye-bye to come down into this world and seek and find the answers in this world by ourselves through the journey of our lives. But nothing is for naught. And in order for us to reach and seek out the oneness, seek out the pleasure of achieving the oneness, and how do we do that? It's when we're in a relationship, let's say, that's broken. When we're in a relationship with our spouse that's broken, and our children that's broken, and neighbors that are broken, within ourselves that's broken, when we have to confront the brokenheartedness of everything in life, we're driven to seek out the pleasure of finding Hashem in it. And then when we find Hashem, there's this level of solace and comfort and sweetness and delight that we experience. And that's what Hashem wants from us. He says, I know that you're seeing the outer shell, the breakage now, but inside, somewhere in, if you continue to battle and find it, you will essentially find me. And that is what drives us every single day. When we go and seek out the chocolate cake, we're really seeking sweetness. When we go to seek out, even the child to take out the garbage, we're seeking validation and recognition that you care enough about me to help in the house. We're always looking for the oneness. Everything that we do in our lives, we're always looking and searching for a connection, for a unification, for you to unite with something. And that's what drives us. Again, if we would not have a lacking, we would not be doing anything. And Hashem needs active partners in this world. So there's always something that needs to be fixed. And Hashem drives us to fix it by increasing that yearning, by increasing that desire, by moving our kishkas around and saying, don't you really want this? Don't you really want your husband to be more close to you? Don't you really want your child to, be more respectful? Don't you really want so on and so forth? And that is what essentially drives us. The power of Ratzon is so big and so strong that it's even written, it's written when there's a will, there's a way, right? But how is it that we want things and they don't happen? I want something and it doesn't happen. How is it? And so the Chachamim teach us that when there's a competing Ratzon, when there's something else that I want, I want to lose weight, but I also want the chocolate cake. I want to have a good relationship, but I also want my voice to be heard, and I'm not willing to give in to his voice. Right? When there's a competing Ratzon, you end up listening to and going after, which one? The stronger voice. The stronger Ratzon. Do I want cake more than I want to fit into the size 0 dress? Maybe, at that moment. 0, I don't know. I'm wishful thinking here. Wishful thinking here. No, I'm not close to 0 even. The idea is if you have a competing ratzon, if the ratzon is not so strong, if you're not laser focused, beaming on that ratzon, it will not be created. But so powerful is the ratzon, the godly attribute called ratzon, that it says, right? What does it say in Sefer Bereshit? Baruch she'amar v'haya olam. Hashem willed our creation into being. Hashem said, Baruch she'amar. Hashem said, I'm going to say there's going to be creation. And guess what? There's going to be creation. And when we were carved from that oneness, Hashem said, I'm going to give you a droplet of that ratzon. I'm going to give you the quality of ratzon, of the godliness, so that you too can use your ratzon to bring about things in creation, in reality. And so powerful is the koach ratzon in every single one of us that the Maharal brings down something amazing. And it goes like this. Two people appear in front of Beit Din. They're called edim zomemim. They're called witnesses, but false witnesses. They are two witnesses that appear in Beit Din that are there to testify against Reuven, that, so to speak, did something, and the penalty for that Reuven would be the penalty of death. But when the Beit Din finds out that essentially they're falsely testifying, what's their punishment the Gemara brings down? Anybody know? Huh? Their punishment is death. That's a harsh punishment. I mean, yes, okay, of course, a person wishes somebody else dead, but the Maharal brings down something phenomenal. The Maharal brings down, talk about energy. The Maharal brings down that the energy of the two witnesses are so strong. The koach ratzon of them wanting to see Reuven dead has to be mitkayem. It has to be fulfilled. You can't run away from that reality. They created a reality from their ratzon, death. They needed to see someone die. And when Reuven doesn't die, it boomerangs back to them. And it falls, that they essentially willed for death, and that death now has to be mitkayem, and so it goes back to them. And so essentially that teaches us that when a person really wants something, they create that reality. What our ratzon needs to be in our generation is to seek out the good. That's what Hashem wants from us in this generation. And let me tell you, I myself am going through a little mid-lifetime crisis right now. And it's taken a lot of koach for me to even come here and talk about Emuna, because, we all go through struggles. You think it's so easy to be an Emuna mentor and teacher and writer and energy therapist. Not easy. You're constantly faced with all kinds of different nisyonot. And I begged Hashem, I said, give me something that I need to say tonight that's going to strengthen me in my place. And I know that the koach of Genendi served as a koach for me to be able to stand here and speak these words with such passion, because ratzon is passion. Ratzon is a drive. Ratzon is what gets us up in the morning, fights for good, seeks justice, seeks to see Hashem in spite of the darkness. Vayi erev, yes, but vayi boker, yom shalem. That's the cycle. The day consists of the darkness and also of the light. So our tafkid in this world is to seek out the good. In fact, it's to believe that there's good. It's to seek the good. It's to reveal the good. It's to do the good. And it's to stay in the battle, to fight for the good. And that's essentially what Genendi has done and is doing and encourages us to do. This is not her story. This is our story. This is the story of our lives, of combating evil in our own place. And the evil comes in very weird disguises. It's just Purim. We realize that everything is a disguise. And so essentially, we should take the koach that Genendi planted in this world for us to combat the evil inside of us. And what's the evil? Segregation, disunity, disharmony. When I find myself separated first from myself, then from my God, then from my spouse, then from my children and my neighbor, and so on and so forth, that is evil. The good is to find the oneness of Hashem. That's a taste of such delight. It's such a taste of pleasure when we get to feel Hashem's warm hug in the disunity, in the difficulty, in the harmfulness. And that's how we seek our tikkun. That's how we reach that level of yechida, the soul root. And that awaits us after 120 Be'ezrat Hashem to greet us. Those battles that every single one of us are in right now. Be'ezrat Hashem, it should be with a lot of atzlacha. You should continue to lead us to a place where we will seek out our own goodness, reveal the goodness, have such emuna in the goodness. Thank you so much for doing this for us.